Well, so 1969 comes around. You're still on KIKX.
I still want to come to California. Now I have a little confidence.
Yes.
I want to get out to San Diego, San Francisco, somewhere on the coast.
Mm-hmm.
And so I make it a hobby to send out demos. And every week I sent them out, and I followed up the best I could.
Demos are these little round 5-inch tape, reel-to-reel tapes that have a synopsis of what type of
here
show
I am
with
the music cut out, just the beginning and end of the song, and examples of doing commercials and promos, and I was pretty good at doing production already. It was kind of the thing I liked best.
So you started mailing these out, making the post office rich?
Yes. And I did that quite a lot. And as fate would have it, my girlfriend moved out and surprised me in the second year, coming from the University of Tennessee. And she moved in with me. And she didn't move in with me right away. She just came out to go to school, so we'd be together.
In Tucson.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And then she got pregnant. And so we were suddenly to be married.
I see.
And we get married. Now I've got, I'm a full-time student and doing, the drama department. And I'm married. And I have a child coming. And the draft is looming. I've been in school 5 years now. And I'm going, oh my God.
Nixon is in office.
Yes. And I get my, first of all, I'm trying my best to make any extra money that I can. I did little television things there, but nothing really, took off. And then they called me up, and I prepared with great determination. I got doctors' exams, and I lost 30 pounds in a couple of weeks. So they say, have you lost or gained any weight lately? Yes. Because this shook me up so much, I've lost 30 pounds in the last 6 weeks.
Heavens.
I would go out and I ate steak and toast every day and ran morning and night with sweat clothes on. And when I drove up to Phoenix for this to be tested, and I drank a jar of honey before I went in. I thought, well, it's got to do something. I so didn't want to. I so didn't want to be drafted, and again, I think the combination of being married and have a child and all of the other stuff that was questionable, they made me a 1Y. So I didn't get drafted, and then suddenly I got a call, and it was from Bill Watson, Bill Drake's right-hand man in Los Angeles. Now I'm excited.
Yeah.
Bill Watson's calling me. It's a chance to go to California.
Mm-hmm.
He says, we really liked your tape. Think you really have some real skill, and got a job for you. Really? Where? Boston. No. And I didn't say anything. And he said, you don't sound very excited. I went, I really was kind of hoping for California. Boston is cold.
Sold my coat.
I just got out of cold. I don't want to be back in the cold. I don't want to be back in the snow. It's in the east. And he goes, well, think about it. So, I had to think about it. And it was a huge career move because it's, one of the big country cities in the country.
It's Bill Drake.
And it's Bill Drake. And it's, everything about it was right. But I really didn't want to do it. So finally, I accepted. And it was a little more money than I was making in Tucson. Little did I know how much it cost to live in Boston. Oh, my God. So I take off, and I start driving to Boston. And I stop in, and you know this story, I stopped in Alamogordo, New Mexico, and it said Atomic Testing Range across the street. Big sign, do not enter, Atomic Testing Range. And I stop at a phone booth, and I call Boston, and I say, I'm on my way. I'm talking to Mel Phillips, program director. And I say, that's great. That's great. I ought to be there in the next couple of days. By the way, The Jefferson K name is not going to work. We've got a Jess Kane in town. A J.J. Jeffries is on WRKO. And believe it or not, there was a Jefferson K who worked in Boston a few years ago. You're kidding. I had no idea. Yeah, it was K, but K-A-Y-E, but Jefferson K. I'm like, amazing. He's in Buffalo now, but we can't use that name. So we're talking to Drake, who was God at the time, the God of radio.
And he's
nobody was more powerful.
He's maybe taller than you.
No, yeah, he was about 6'4", 6'5". I never met him. But Drake had told him that we're thinking of changing his name to Shadow Man or Shadow Lane. I thought, that's the dumbest name I've ever heard in my life. Humiliating. An infinite series of humiliating moments, indefinitely prolonged. Now I'm sitting there in a phone booth. I'm calling Boston. I don't want to go to outside the atomic testing range, and I could almost hear God laugh in the sky. This will be great. Now, don't do anything hasty. I will have some names by the time I get to Boston. Now, I put the notepad on my lap, and I'm driving my Corvette across America at 90 miles an hour. Randy Rhodes, Ronnie Lane, anything, Jerry Billboard. I don't, any name I could think of.
Virgie Shock.
Virgie Shock would have been a better name had I been that bright, but I just wasn't. So I get to Boston 2 days later, and on the air, as I'm driving into this bleak, cold, I left Tucson, the sun was shining, it was warm, beautiful, and it is bleak and cold. And I get in, and it's a labyrinth of roads that run into each other from old cow paths. It's a nightmare. It's probably better today now that we have GPS. But at the time, there were no gas stations. You could not stop and ask anyone where to go because they couldn't tell you or wouldn't. I have no idea. I just got here, they would always say. And so I would be lost for hours at a time. One-way lanes that run into one-way lanes that you could only turn right, and then it ends up, and I'm in South Boston, out of my mind.
First time you've ever been there.
Yes, yes, and I'm listening to the radio, and it's going, and starting Monday, Shadoe Stevens, 68 WRKO. No.
That must be you.
That's the dumbest name I ever heard. And I go in, and I'm humiliated. I'm just like, Christ, I've got to call myself this? Oh, my God.
Music, WRKO.
This is Shadoe Stevens, 658 at WRKO. Clarence Strongman Henry, 1961. But I do. That's Baby It's You. That's a remake, baby. My group called Smith with a chick in there that looks like she was poured into her clothes and forgot to say when. Then, 7:03, the Shadoe Stevens on WRKO. Thanks, FM. The Big 68, where you can check the changes of the Noon Hour 30 tomorrow afternoon at 3 on the J.J. Jeffrey Show.
Everybody's...
Oh, Harry, I like it when you do it that way the best. That's Everybody's Talking with Milson. This is Shadoe Stevens, 706 at WRKO. Are you listening? Pay close attention. You may miss something of this highly symbolic, surrealistic, and provocative entertainment special.
WRKO.
Listen, baby, Taurus is not full of bull. It's full of toreadors, senators, throtibus. I know a few cows that do the same thing. Listen, if people who love peace are Aquarians and people who eat vegetables are vegetarians, then I guess a cannibal is a humanitarian. I feel like I'm scratching at my insides trying to get out of the shell of my body. It's getting freaky. The Archies with sugar, as Dale Norman says. It's Headline Request for Wellesley. You're on the Shadoe Stevens Show, 802 at WRKO. Hey, listen, heads up. The new look in slacks is flair. The new look in shirts will hug your body, and Mandel's in Newtonville has the cream of the crop. There's slacks by Levi, Farrah, and male with a great variety of colors featuring tartan plaids. Now, those deep-toned shirts will button down or point their collars longer. Now, let's face it, my man, Ready Eddie stacks the right combination for fall. Eddie Mandel wears what he sells. So whether you're in need of a double-breasted sport coat with gold buttons or sweaters with cable or stripes, you can make it at Mandel's. And next door, the bullpen lets the atmosphere set your style. Those handmade leather goodies in belts, vests, and hats will blow your mind. And top off your see-through body shirt with bell bottoms, scarves, rings and things at the bullpen and Mandel's. 311 Walnut Street in Newtonville, open daily till 6, and they're open Fridays until 9. The Big 68 with Dale Dorman and mystery trip winner Ray Feeney of Salem prepare to run away together up front of this week's Now 30. Get your copy Saturday.
So, and then they would interview me, and they'd say, so, that's not your real name, is it? Duh. So I was like, God, it's so sick of saying, I've got to come up with a context that makes it palatable, that I can live with this. So I've got to give it a sense of humor. So I came up with all the answers that I would ever need for saying anything, any interview at any time. And they would go, so, Shadoe, it's not your real name, is it? That's God's baffling sense of humor. What? You mean it's your God-given name? What? Yeah, it's given to me by God. Really? I said, well, it's Native American. And they go, really? Yeah, Shadoe. No kidding. What tribe? Well, I said, I'm from North Dakota, so I suspect Sioux or Mandan. I'm not sure. But Shadoe, yeah. Do you know what it means? He who walks with the light. Really? Yeah. I know. Weird, huh? It's God's baffling sense of humor.
Perfect.
And they wouldn't ask me anything else, and we could get on with talking about anything else. And so that gave me a context. And then it was, all of the things that I would end up saying at the end of every show. Until we meet again, this is your friend in the void, the Shadoe.
So that began at WRKO.
WRKO.
Ladies and gentlemen, you're listening to the Solid Gold Weekend.
WRKO, Boston.
3 o'clock at the Big 68. This is Shadoe Stevens. Solid Gold 1968 from Stevie Wonder for Once in My Life. This is Shadoe Stevens at 3:02 at WRKO. And this Solid Gold Weekend, you probably noticed the change in sound right at 3 o'clock because my new producer just stepped in, Frank Harve. And for the rest of the afternoon, the show will be half done. The Big 68 with a hard-working hit line waiting for you at 931-1630. Call it now. Did you hear that? Did you hear that last segment? Huh, was that heavy? It's in line request for Peabody. Peabody wanted to hear that. That Sweet Caroline with Neil Diamond is 3:07 at WRKO. This is Shadoe Stevens. I go out right after my show, wear my Bermuda shorts and my Hawaiian shirt, carry an expensive SLR camera conspicuously in front of me so that everybody would think I'm a photographer instead of just a tourist. The Plastic Ono Band and John and Yoko Ono and give peace a chance. That's what it is. It's 3:15 at WRKO with Shadoe Stevens. I have a question to ask you girls. How do you let a guy know you're interested? Don't blush. I'm serious. Do you send out smoke signals? Of course you don't. You use those eyes of yours, right? What a weapon. You don't have to tell me. I'm a sucker for great-looking eyes myself, and it's a lucky thing for you that there's a great new kind of eye makeup that makes eyes talk. It's the new Natural Wonder Eye Makeup by Revlon. It paints on with a brush and water to give you the clearest, freshest colors that you ever laid eyes on. There's Natural Wonder lid shadows and lid liners, all hypoallergenic, of course. And the real beauty is you can control the intensity of the color by how much water you use. If you want maximum signal power, just a little water turns the color on full force. If you don't want to come on too strong, use a little more water to tone the color down. It's your game. Play it any way you want. The only equipment you need besides your eyes is the new Natural Wonder lid shadows and lid liners and a little water. And only Revlon could make it happen.
WRKO weather.
Ooh, today partly cloudy and warm with a chance of a few showers and thunder showers. Highs in the 80s tonight, and tomorrow cloudy and cooler. Lows tonight in the 60s. Right now, balmy 86 degrees in Boston. Ever wonder if calories really count? Call Dial a Dietitian, 262-6085, any weekday from 10 a.m. to 4 p.m. and find out the answers to your nutritional problems from the professionals. Here's the Turtles, Solid Gold, and Eleanor.
you gotta think about you.
Hubba hubba, Eleanor. That's all I can say. It's Eleanor, I think you're swell as of the turtles. Say, it's 319 to WRKO. This is Shadoe Stevens. The Woodstock Music and Art Fair, the Aquarian Exposition at White Lake in Bethel, New York, will give you uncomplicated, unhurried, calm days of peace and music. Friday, August 15th, you'll hear stars such as Joan Baez, Arlo Guthrie, Tim Hardin, Richie Havens, Ravi Shankar. Saturday, August 16th, Canned Heat, Creedence Clearwater, Grateful Dead, Janis Joplin, Jefferson Airplane. Sunday, August 17th, Blood, Sweat, and Tears, Iron Butterfly, Jimi Hendrix, Johnny Winter, and that's not all. Be at the Woodstock Music and Art Fair, August 15th, 16th, and 17th in Bethel, New York. We have Gary Martin going to be in it. Oh, friends, he's going to be here at 5. Say, if you're one of the many beer drinkers who've tried Schaefer lately, stop and ask yourself the question, did you ever find the special quality of Schaefer in any other beer? The special quality of flavor that never fades, glass after frosty cold glass. The fact is, only Schaefer gives you the first beer pleasure every beer through. And you won't find this quality in any other beer at any price. So why not stay with Schaefer, the best-selling beer in the yeast?
Schaefer is the one beer to have when you're having more than one.
68 WRKO makes history repeat itself as we present the summer rerun of the history of rock and roll tomorrow through Thursday, noon to midnight.
And it's probably the best radio I ever did as a personality. Because what I learned was how to do something simple and do it well, which became the mark of everything I do in my life. Do something simple and be brilliant at it. And so the rules were you could never talk very long. You could talk over the intros of songs. You could talk, maybe 10 seconds out of a song. You had to interject your personality into that and how you use your voice, the words you choose, your humor, everything had to fit in this format. It was actually genius. And it really worked for me. Once I figured it out, it took a little while to figure it out. And I would get scathing memos. I still have some of those memos that you would get before you go on the air. And it was after listening to this great Boston radio station all day long and hearing Joel Cash in the morning and or Dale Dorman in the morning and Joel Cash and
J.J. Jeffries.
And Frank, what was his name? Bobby Mitchell and J.J. Jeffries. And then you came on. And it couldn't be worse.
Now, who are sending?
And if you would like to be back in Des Moines next week,
ouch!
You better pull it together. And it was really,
This was from
what?
The program director.
This is from the program director, and within a few weeks later, we got the highest ratings in the history of Boston. It was like 34% of everyone listening to the radio listened to WRKO. I was huge, and everything became all chipper. Oh, you're doing a great job. Same guy, doing the same thing. But, the things you get put through along the way, and radio people are among the worst people on earth. You know that.
I can agree with that partially, but it's also the opposite. The opposite applies also. Some of the
there are some
radio.
Wonderful, talented people who care, who work hard and prepare and think about the art of it. And there are those who are, and it's universal. It's whether it's in Bismarck, North Dakota at Y92 or in Los Angeles. There are guys, once they get in the job and have some success, and the ratings come in, and they're number one in Bismarck, they don't need to return calls. Because you don't understand. I'm number 1, 3 to 7 on Y92, and a force to be reckoned with.
Now you mentioned earlier
the biggest egos I've ever met in my life have been in radios.
For sure. You mentioned earlier about Wolfman Jack. When did do you recall when you first were aware of him? Where you heard?
Oh yeah, in high school we listened to him on XERB.
He was
Del
coming
Rio,
all the
Texas.
way from the border, all the way up there.
Yeah,
wow.
And listening to Wolfman was the best. Not only because it was Wolfman, but because his music was everything we loved. R&B music. It's like it.
Didn't hear anything like that on any other station, that's for sure.
No. And KAAY in Little Rock was another station that played a lot of R&B. And that's what all of us really wanted to. Our favorite group in the Midwest in college was a group called the Flippers from Lawrence, Kansas. And they were white guys, but they put on a fabulous show. And it was all R&B music. It was all James Brown. It was the horn section. It was all dance moves and lighting and everything. They came in, and we would travel 150, 200 miles to see a Flippers show.
Wow.
And that was it. It was as exciting as music got in the Midwest in that era.
So Wolfman was a huge early influence on your radio listening, and probably affected you when you started going pro.
Yeah, well, I loved him. He was the standard by which all others are judged.
He wrote a great book.
He was a great guy. I got to know him. There's a whole story of when I got to Los Angeles, and
we're going to go into that soon.
I'll tell you that.
Yeah, we're going to hear about that
in a moment. The Wolfman Jack story.
So right now you're at WRKO. It's 1968, I'm guessing. 69,
No, 69.
69. Okay.
I was there 1 year. I really, and a lot of it is growing up. I hated Boston at the time. I loved being on the radio, but I hated the city. I hated the life there. Everybody was cranky in my mind.
Really?
You go in Tucson, they would go, "Good morning, how are you? You want coffee? All right." You get to Boston, they go, "What do you want? Regular? You want regular?" And regular was coffee with cream and sugar already in it. I don't know the rules here, but if you don't know the rules, they belittle you. And it was, everybody was on edge, and I was lost every day. And, and I'm trying hard to fit in. We go over to Harvard and try and be with the young people who are our age. But we weren't, because now we're a family. We've got a little child, and I'm, at a big radio station, and so I didn't know who I was and trying to figure it out. So I wrote the Boston Book of the Dead. And every day I would write in this book something else I hated about Boston. and it was like, oh, God, get me out of here. It's like, yes, I love the station. I love radio, but I don't want to be here. Years later, I went back to Boston and found that it was all me. It was like, yeah, Boston had issues, but it had great character and great people and everything. But it was me going through that transition of being, a kid, now having to be an adult with a family and being responsible and all the things that come with that, and the pressures of it all, and having to grow up. But at that moment, I'm writing the Boston Book of the Dead, and about the everything, and I would take pictures and I would glue them into the book. And it's kind of tragic. It was an illustrated book. And it was like, scribbled out, and, me high out of my mind on some sort of high octane grass. And what happened was I started sending out, as a hobby, demos to the West Coast.
Again?
Yes.
You weren't done.
Every week I would send out more. And this went on for months, and they would never reply.
Now,
were you trying
to get to New York?
No, God, no.
Okay, because of the weather.
No, I wanted to come to not even Los Angeles. I didn't know it was that good. I thought San Diego, San Francisco.
Anaheim.
San Francisco would be great. And it's somewhere in California.
Gotcha.
And this went on for months, week after week. And I started thinking, I got huge ratings here. I've got a great demo. Why doesn't anybody ever get back to me? And then one day, and this is the way it happened, and it's like a movie, I wrote the last page of the Boston Book of the Dead that night, the night before. I went, well, that's done. So weird. Closed the book, put it on the shelf. The next morning I get a call. And the call is from Los Angeles, KHJ. I'm going, KHJ, the number one, like the station in the country. And the guy said, we'd like you to come out here, maybe go to work for us.
Do you remember who you were speaking with?
Jim O'Brien. Big Jim O'Brien was kind of a football player guy with a big temper, and he had a baseball bat behind his desk.
And he used it, too.
He was an angry man. But he was offering me, he said, we'd like to fly you out here, and we'll put you on a plane this afternoon. And this is on a Monday. No, and let me back this up a little bit. No, it was just before, and we would have tickets on Monday. I would leave on Monday, come to Los Angeles on Monday afternoon. He'll pick me up at the airport. He'll take me to the station, give me the tour, and we can talk. And we'll do that on Tuesday. We'll stay at the Hyatt on Sunset, and on Tuesday we'll talk. Wednesday we talk. Wednesday I get back on a plane. I fly back to Boston. On Thursday I made arrangements, did my last show on WRKO. On Friday, a truck arrived at my house and put all of my furniture, clothing, and everything in the truck and my car. And we took a taxi to the airport, got on a plane, arrived in Los Angeles on Friday night. As of Saturday, I lived in Los Angeles. It all happened in 1 week. It's like click, 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 click. We're at the Hyatt House on Sunset, going to work for KHJ.
And the truck, it made it?
And the truck made it.
Nice.
With my awful little Alfa Romeo, another car that I hated.
Yeah. Peter, Paul, and Mary, KHJ Golden, 63. Don't think twice. 640.
Oh, that's kinky.
Yeah. See Move, now playing at the Bruin Theater in Westwood. Supremes at KHJ with the smash music for Friday night. Everybody's got the right to love. And this for North Hollywood. Everybody's got the right to love. She said, biting my arm. What's that, sir? You eat with that same mouth. It's what we... That's Supremes, KHJ, in 644. The Humble Harve Show with Shadoe Stevens.
It's a real thing. KHJ weather.
What is going to look for tomorrow? 82 degrees for the high. Moderate smog, overnight overcast, hazy sunshine tomorrow. 90 degrees in the valley in Orange County. It'll be 85. Right now, 72 in Orange County, 73 downtown, Valley 80, and 74 in Hollywood. Mercy! Gotta hold you together, baby. $1 Million music from KHJ from 1970.
Things seemed to be going really well, but just when he thought he was winning the game, fate took a turn down a blind alley. It wasn't really the full-time job that I was going to be. What it was full-time salary, full-time relief. So when anybody was on vacation, I'd fill in for them. And I would do weekends and so on. But the deal was that I would get the next full-time job.
Gotcha.
The next full-time job would be me, wherever it was on the schedule.
That was promised to you.
That's what the deal was.
Now, who are some of the jocks that were on KHJ at that time, do you recall?
Robert W. Morgan in the morning, Charlie Tuna, the Real Don Steele.
So these were the original boss jocks from the
Chuck
heyday.
Browning was on at night, and Humble Harve. Like legendary people. Really.
Right.
Great radio
Absolutely.
personalities.
KHJ Los Angeles.
7 o'clock and $1 Million weekend. Hiya, got some serious business to get to.
Let me take you back down to the river bed. Got to tell you something, go right to your head. I got a line on you, babe. More music, KHJ.
What we need here is a little enthusiasm, a little spark. 7:02 with Shadoe Stevens on Sunday night. Let's wake it.
Together we'll stand, divided we'll fall. Come on now, people, let's get on the ball and work together. 93 KHJ.
Shadoe Stevens Show, non-stoppable hits. You know that's what it's got to be for the next 6 hours. Undone.
She's come undone. She's come undone.
Yes, guess who in Undone at KHJ at $1 Million weekend with Shadoe Stevens at 7:09.
When owls start dressing the geek, clouds start combing their wigs, crickets start tuning their twigs, it's time for the cold, refreshing taste of Boone's Farm apple wine. Modesto, California.
If you're in high school and want to learn about business, to take care of business, KHJ suggests you join Junior Achievement. A little trouble with an adventure in business for young adults. For information, ask your high school principal. KHJ knocking out the numbers. And the music is free. All right now.
And Chuck Browning was kind of a hothead. I would go out with him. We'd go out and get high together and hang out. And
In Hollywood or
yeah.
any particular places you recall? Or?
Well, Martoni's was the place that
Yeah.
everybody went. And that's where everybody hung out and would have drinks and talk, radio talk. And
so you felt obliged to go there yourself and
and
see what it was all about.
Hang out into the night. So then Chuck does something that gets him fired. And I've been there 6 months.
More music, KHJ.
Yo, Roddy, so that everybody will have a chance. We're going to open up the Hollywood Boss Line, 520-1970, and take the 7th call. Give me the name of this. Hitbound from the Lost Generation. And I'll lay it on you. Congratulations, Gary Barrios of Van Nuys, who correctly identified that Hitbound at KHJ, the sly, slick, and the wicked with the Lost Generation 206 with Shadoe Stevens.
Summertime! And Robert W. Morgan joining Bill Wade to make driving dreams come true. Bill and I qualified listeners to win the 1970 car of their choice and drew Sarah Ehrlich of Los Angeles as our winner. Sarah will drive on in a spanking new Dodge Charger, cause KHJ is blasting through a super summer spectacular.
93 KHJ. More music, KHJ.
That's number 1 on the brand new Boss 30 at KHJ, Eric Burden and War, and this solid gold. Blood, sweat, and tears. You've made me so very happy. You've made me so very happy. What ho! Is this a wacky, gay, fun-filled, zany, zesty, madcap, erotic eve of excitement? No! It's Shadoe Stevens taking those big hits and spreading them all over your body. 213 at KHJ. And this is the Johnny Williams Show. Head to the only 24-hour day boutique, Jeans West, 360 North La Cienega near Beverly in L.A. Jeans West carries Tropical sunglasses. Hey, get out in the sun with Tropical and look beautiful.
KHJ weather.
Oh, light to moderate smog for the day. Overnight clouds near the coast and sunshine. Later on, it'll be 82 for the high today. 97 out in the valley. In Orange County, it'll be 82. In the beaches, 70. Sunny after 10 a.m. And the water will be 65 today. It's 64 right now in the valley in Orange County. Downtown, 66. And 61 degrees in Hollywood. Oh, right on my caboose. Let's give this away. If you know the name and you live in Orange County, call me 549-2911 and I'll give it to you.
More music, KHJ.
Oh, it just gets me throbbing. KHJ serving up a $40,000 Super Summer Spectacular, and part of it is a record going out to Patty Negrino in Westminster. Identified black hands and white cotton by Caboose. Ooh, ooh.
Ooh, child.
93 KHJ.
Nothing but hit music in the morning. Shadoe Stevens for Johnny Williams. It's 2:21. It's zip back to 1962 for the Four Seasons.
More music, KHJ.
2:23 in the morning. We bring on my man Bob Dylan. Oh, Bob Dylan. Wigwam. How the devil are you? Hey, 2:35 at KHJ. The Johnny Williams Show with the Shadoe. All right, listen carefully, you la-di-da bigwigs with fat bankrolls in your pocket. The greatest compliment paid to any product is calling it the Cadillac of its field, right? Hillcrest Cadillac invites you to see the luxurious 1970 Cadillac. No finer motoring, no better indication of success, no more rewarding experience can be found than in the prideful ownership of Cadillac. Now, an excellent selection of all models and colors is available, and an invitation is extended to you to inspect these truly remarkable cars, which are available for immediate delivery. And you'll be pleasantly surprised at the attractive mid-year prices at Hillcrest Motor Company on Wilshire Boulevard in Beverly Hills.
93 KHJ.
I had a call on the West LA Boss Line. Said, hey, Shadoe, play something good. This is about the best thing I can dig up right now. Hitbound. Dave Mason. Only you know and I know.
More music, KHJ.
KHJ's Super Summer Spectacular, spending heavily to make $40,000 in cash and prizes all yours. 2:56 of the Johnny Williams Show with Shadoe Stevens and the Temptations. Any disc jockey that works all night has to be a little bit mentally deficient. It's a state of mind from BS&T.
More music,
Music, KHJ.
KHJ serving up a $40,000 super summer spectacular.
So Chuck is gone. I'm supposed to get that job, 6 to 9 on KHJ. And at that time, during that same period of time, I was hired as the Ed McMahon for the Steve Allen Show. I was the young sidekick announcer who would sit, on the show.
Steve Allen television show.
Steve Allen television.
I didn't
show.
know that.
And I was like Albert Brooks in Broadcast and News. I all dressed up, looking good, sweating out of my mind. I am so unprepared for this. I am sitting there with one of the guys who is my idol, Steve Allen, one of the funniest people in history, who also could play every instrument and wrote 500 songs and wrote books, and he was remarkable. Really hard to get to know him. But at one point, he said to me in front of the audience, he said, so you don't play guitar, you're not a musician, and you don't sing? I went, no. He said, what do you do? I said, well, I can walk backwards in time. He goes, really? I went, yeah. Could you give us an example? I said, well, here, stand back. And I would stand back and then walk toward him going, hi, Steve, how are you doing? And then I'd walk backwards going, yes, yeah, yes. And that was it. And the audience kind of tittered and was awkward. And he kind of looked at me like I was insane and went, that's it. That's all I do. I just go backwards in time. Okay. So, so he didn't know what to do with me. And the makeup people would come in and they'd go, God, you sweat. It's like, I know. My shirts are just soaked. Thank God I've got a coat on. You can't see my shirts are like I've been in a sauna at the end because I'm outclassed. I know how to go, Steve Allen Show, da-da-da-da.
And I'm sure you were excellent at that.
Yeah, it was just fine. And then they would try and incorporate me in bits. So they had this psychic on. What was his name?
Kreskin?
No, not Kreskin, but another guy at that same period in the 70s who was well known as a brilliant psychic. And he came on and they said, does anybody have a gift that they were given, like a ring or a watch or something? Oh, I have my watch my dad gave me. And he goes, oh, good. And he takes the watch and he holds it in his hand and he closes his. Now, I really want him to be right. I believe in this stuff. I want to believe. I'm beaming positive energy toward him. I'm thinking, get it right. It's good. I'm an open vessel to you. And he's going, there's been a sickness in the family. No. A death. There was a death, a recent death of someone very close. No. And he kept trying, and I was trying, but he got them all wrong. There wasn't anything that was close to who I was. And it got really awkward.
Yeah.
And now Steve is like, kind of edgy and shifting uneasily from one bun to another, wondering how he's going to save this. And he finally goes, well, maybe we should try somebody else. Maybe this isn't, we're not in the spirit of things right. And so he gives it to another one of the guests and he miraculously got everything right. And it was brilliant. And everybody cheered. And it was like, oh, he's a genius. So I was friends with the valet people and all the guys who would take people in and out of the stage. And the guy said, you should have heard what he said about you on the way to the car. He hated you. He goes, that son of a bitch. He says, I should have talked about, the affairs he's having on his wife. Wrong again. Wrong again. He didn't get anything.
That Shadoe don't play ball.
It's like, well, yeah. It's like, I want you to be right. I believe in you. Okay, you can't do it, so
whose fault is it?
So now I'm Chuck Browning is fired at KHJ, and I'm supposed to get the job, and I go in, and they hire Jerry Butler from WRKO, the guy who was on after me.
They bring him in.
They bring him in
Boston?
and give him the job, and I'm beside myself. I went, this is bullshit. Wait a minute. So I go in and I talk, and I sit down with them, and I say, look, I don't want more money. I don't want anything, but I want you to write in the contract that the next opening that comes up, I get it no matter what. Period. That's all.
This was with Jim O'Brien again, or
I'm trying to remember if it was Jim or if Jim had gone.
Because Ron Jacobs had left by this time.
Ron was gone.
Yeah.
Ted Atkins, maybe?
Okay.
I can't remember.
Okay.
But he said, well, Drake says we can't do that. He said, I said, well, why would you give this to him? And he said, we don't know whether you want to do television or radio.
Oh, because you're
Are
doing
you
Steve
kidding?
Allen.
This is the greatest promotion for KHJ, and this is a nationwide television show with Steve Allen, the legend of all time. I'm tied to him, and this is only good for the radio station. Well, we just can't do it. And they wouldn't put it in writing.
And obviously, it wasn't the Steve Allen show was not on KHJ TV, which was a huge channel in LA at the time. It must have been KT.
No, it was a syndicated show, so it was on different stations. I think it was, and we shot it at KTLA.
Okay, KTLA, yeah.
Which
Channel
was
5.
I can't remember what the company was. But so I said, well, I'm not going to lead my life at the whims of people like you. I am not going to stay. I'm done. I'm not going to live like this. I don't know what I'm going to do, but I'm not going to do this. And the next day, I heard from KRLA, and they heard that I was unhappy, and they said, we'd like you to come over here.
Who was there at that time?
I want to say Johnny Darren, I think. Well, I really like Johnny, but I can't remember for sure because there were a couple of changes.
It was 1970, I guess.
Yeah, 1970.
Okay.
Yeah, and so I took the job, and I went over there and had and really enjoyed it.
So you just walked away from Boss Radio.
Yeah.
Entertaining Southern California from Pasadena.
6 o'clock. Hiya. How the devil are you? I'd like you to know it's great to be part of a terrific radio station like KRLA. Gonna get it.
Come on now, people, let's get on the ball and work together.
Canned heat at KRLA. That's working together. Shadoe Stevens. Gonna get down to some funk now. Proudly presenting Watch 103rd Street Rhythm Band. Express yourself.
Express yourself.
Watch 103rd Street Rhythm Band. That's Express Yourself. And it's 6:08 at KRLA with the Shadow.
Whee!
You don't have to show it.
The Excelsior High School graduating class of 1961 is planning a 10-year class reunion around June of 1970. If you can dig that. Class members interested in attending this reunion, please call 863-3971 for all the details.
KRLA. When the truth is found to be
Jefferson Airplane, got to have somebody to love. Super music only with the Shadow and Elton John at KRLA.
It's a little bit funny.
Elton John at KRLA, that's your song. 6:15, you're tripping with the Shadow, and that's it.
Governor Reagan, I want my kids to have the best education they can get.
So do I. Sponsored by the Reagan-Reineke Team 70 Committee.
Going to be mostly cloudy and windy through tomorrow night. We'll look for tonight of a low of 60 degrees, high tomorrow 70. Light smog, downtown right now 69 degrees, and in the valley 68 degrees.
the Shadow.
Now, at the time, underground, FM album rock was everything, and I would go and I would write notes to the general manager, say, we really need to consider playing more album cuts and be the hipper KHJ. Sure, we're a top 40 station, but we should be acknowledging that the biggest thing in the country, and I would put statistics and I would look up all this stuff. And I just wanted us to be a better radio station. And the next thing you know, the manager calls me in and he said, we want to make you program director. Why? We like your ideas and we think you're right.
Had they sampled some of your ideas and tried them out?
No. He just liked the fact that I did so much research and that I cared so much, and he thought I would be good. And so they let go of the program director and they put me in. Now I was taking classes at Art Center School. I was back in art, doing art, taking classes at night, and I went into an anatomy class that night, and I'm trying to draw. And I can't. I'm seized with anxiety. And I turned to the person next to me and I said, you ever feel like you're going insane? And they looked at me blankly. And I went, I can't stay here. And I grabbed my easel and I took my stuff and went out to my car and I sat in my car and I thought, I've got to figure this out. What am I going to do? I haven't been program director. This is Los Angeles. Like, what am I going to do? So I had to figure out what it would be, what I would do. And it had to do with music and presentation, the theater of how I would present it. And it had all of these aspects. And that included, like, what about music? So there's only two kinds of music, familiar and unfamiliar. Either you know it and like it, know it and are tired of it, or you don't know it and get to discover it. And that's exciting, like Christmas. But you can't get too much new. You have to do familiar, unfamiliar, discover, great, back to familiar, feel comfortable. So what is the layout that will work? And how do I incorporate all this album music? So I came up with a formula that was really quite wonderful. And I incorporated all of the personalities. Now, I had to change some of the personalities to accommodate this new idea, which was a real personality approach. So I hired the best people I could find. And that was like B. Mitchell Reed and Brother John, the voice of God, and China Smith, and Lee Baby Sims, Jimmy Rabbitt. All these guys are phenomenal. And
now, some of those guys were down in San Diego at KCBQ, I believe.
Well, they came up from all over. Like Brother John was in New York, and I called him, and I thought, there's not a chance in hell I'm going to get this guy. He is the greatest voice in the history of the world. Mm-hmm. He is the voice of God. And I thought, he'll be the voice of this station, and it will sound like God. And then I wanted to do jingles that would do the same thing. So I wrote all these jingles. And we went into a recording studio. They gave me $10,000 to go and create a jingle package. And we recorded at Whitney Studios, and they had this gigantic pipe organ. And we had two guys play it at the same time. A giant, like heavenly Mormon Tabernacle choir. And we had all these people come in and sing, and I was one of the singers. And we made this KRLA Pasadena sound like the heavens opened up and birds are flying and blue skies, and the contrast of that and playing some real hard rock was phenomenal. It was so great.
Right. And
so we'd play that at key times. Now all of the other jingles were, and we had people like Kenny Loggins before he got famous sang on those jingles, and Tommy Boyce and Bobby Hart and the Captain Tennille. All these people, none of them had been discovered yet, and they were all on these jingles that I produced.
Wow!
And it was really exciting and bigger than life.
In quadraphonic sound, Hollywood Bowl, Friday, September 22nd. Pink Floyd, tickets on sale at all the usual places, presented by Concert Associates and KRLA.
strumming my pain with his fingers and singing my life with his song. Tony Joe, you're doing it! Miller Brewing Company, Azusa, California, available in recyclable aluminum cans. Joe Chinaman at Future Rock 1110. This is a case of distilled discrimination. As you'll soon find out as the kid is making with the whiskey. Pancho's got the wine. An epic in the pages of history and the annals of time from war and Fast Draw Kid China at KRLA. Guy I'm about to play for you right now, interestingly enough, sounds a little bit like Tony Joe White that we just heard on that Miller Brewing Company commercial not too long ago. Same last name, almost sounds like a family affair, doesn't it? I'm gonna love you. Just a little more, baby. Not only on the weekend, but on the strong end, too. Barry White on KRLA, and I'm going to love you just a little more, baby, in my own special way. Hopefully nobody will get in it. In my way, that is. This is something new from Barefoot Jerry. Not the barefoot part. I mean, we've been doing that for years.
Woman's all I need.
Barefoot Jerry at KRLA. I suppose the right thing to do right now would be have a go at it, because after all, you can't do good, bad, or indifferent until at least you do. Right, Carly?
There's nothing you can do to turn me away.
Well, I didn't get one negative comment, remark, or telephone call, so obviously it must have been the right thing to do. Carly Simon at KRLA. You know, sometimes you just got to break it up for a while. To realize what you had was pretty good. However, I seem to have the uncanny perception to appreciate what I got right now. And I'm going to try to flaunt it a little bit and see if you can't dig it too. Thanks for listening. This is Future Rock 1110, and these are the Stylistics. Always breaking it up, the Stylistics at KRLA with China Smith on Future Rock 1110. To the Moody Blues, and obviously the drummer is a bit moody too. I'm sure that if we can get him to pick up the tempo a little bit, we can have the rest of the fellas join in and do a number on us. Thank heaven for those masochistic groupies. Moody Blues at KRLA. It's your Chinaman. A couple of minutes before 8. This is Bill Withers, Kissing My Love. By the way, tonight's secret word, pucker. Say the secret word and win a duck in a wet mouth.
And then we did Welcome to Phase 2, which was like 2001 meets radio.
With Uncle Bob Todd.
Yeah, with Uncle Bob Todd, my good friend for many years.
And so we say goodbye to Phase 1. It's been a memorable 10 months we won't soon forget. And of course, our thanks go out to all those of you out there who were so wonderful during these times of change. For it was you, your cards, your letters, your phone calls that gave us the help and inspiration we so desperately needed. But time marches on, and so we go forward, never looking back but to occasionally reflect upon an embarrassing moment or two, never glancing to the sides, but rather looking ahead, we see the future. And now, as we look ahead, never again turning back to those treasured, memorable, cherished moments that we loved. Never again will we recall the wonderful times we spent together. Phase 1 was good to us. There were good times, there were bad times, but mostly there were times that were just there. And up ahead, marching across the field of life, we see a tiny band of grinning disc jockeys carrying records in burlap sacks and beckoning and calling us, saying, "Follow us. We're heading into the wonderful world of Phase 2.
Combination of